Hey everyone, it's Raz from the Semi-Retired Samurai. I hope you're doing well no matter where you are in the world. So today I want to talk to you about the hidden loneliness that no one talks about after 50. And I remember when I was a kid, my grandmother, the house was filled with joy. I remember we were kids running around the house. And, a few years after that, all her kids moved out and the house was quite empty. And I remember my mother bringing me over to her house to visit, and she would sit in the same chair, just sad, very lonely. And we'd stay there for 3 hours just talking to her, and she was just so happy to see us. And when we had to leave, she would do everything to get us to stay, offer us candy and just kind of beg us to stay a little bit longer. And I didn't realize at the time, because I was just so little, that old age can be such a lonely time for so many people, especially if family is a big part of your life. And looking back at it now, I mean, it really broke my heart. And so now that I am going into my retirement years, I start to think about retirement, and thought, wow, this is going to be great. It's going to be less stress, more time to do the things I want to do. And while that is true, I didn't expect life to get so quiet, because friends, they're on some of them are on a different timeline. They're not retiring the same time as you, and they get busy with their life. Your work connections, the people that you socialize with for so many years, especially if you work in a regular job, they're no longer around. They just kind of disappear after you retire, and your social circle gets a lot smaller as well. And I remember when I stepped away from my business to semi-retire. The first few months were great. I enjoyed it so much. And then it became a little bit quiet. And I remember first thing I noticed that I would watch maybe a basketball game on TV, and then I'd be sitting on the couch and the phone wouldn't ring. And I looked around the room because my wife is busy with caretaking for her dad. So she wasn't home. And I kind of thought to myself, well, it's quiet and I've got nowhere to go. I thought, well, when I was 20, I used to be full of energy and always had places to go. And now suddenly I had no place to go. And I thought, okay, well, I could go for a walk, but the weather is bad outside. I stay in, and then before you know it, I just start surfing the internet and then go to bed. And the first thing that was one of the first thing I noticed, and I started to think to myself, well, this isn't healthy, and I can see that if I didn't fill my quiet times with activities, that I was probably going to be very bored in retirement, and also I was going to lose my purpose and zest for life. And I didn't want that to happen. And so I was trying to think about, like, okay, why am I feeling this way? Because I'm one of those people that I like to, question everything and wonder why I'm feeling this way. And so I realized that some friends, are still working. Some are, maybe not on the financially ready to retire, and they're just on different timelines, and some have health issues. You ask them to go out and for a hike, and maybe some can't go because they got sore knees, sore back, all those things. So you're looking for people to do things with you and who share similar interests, but it's very hard if you keep your circle very small, and it starts to you start to do a lot of things by yourself. So I started bike riding by myself. I started going on hikes by myself. And after a while, it's kind of like, okay, well, I always considered myself a lone wolf most of the time, but there's times where it'd be nice to share these experiences with people. And so I started to hear from other people who retired, and start to ask about what was their experience like in retirement. And I spoke to one individual who was my father's friend. He's 72 years old now and still working. He's an oral surgeon, and he told me a story about his father-in-law and how he retired and hated it so much that he actually went back to work in his business. And he was already not mentally there, but they created an office for him so that he can have a place to go to and feel like he was contributing. So he would put on his suit and tie every day to go to the office, and just to be there, to socialize, to feel like he has a value still in his life. And he did that right to the day he passed away. And I thought that was quite interesting, because when I was younger, I thought, well, why would you want to go to work after all these years of slaving away? Wouldn't you want to enjoy? And I guess now I see, the reason behind it, because you can only do so many rounds of golf and sit on the beach for so long, and before you know it, it becomes a little bit boring. So the social circle when you retire really does shrink. And right now I have friends who are taking care of the aging parents. So it's not easy to even get people together for a dinner on the weekends, because at the end of the day, they're so drained from caretaking, they don't want to go out. So how did I combat this problem of feeling, lonely during semi-retirement? So I made a decision that originally I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to retire for good and not work anymore. But I made a decision that, I don't think that's the route I want to go. And I realized how much I did like, having people around me. And so I decided, well, I'll work till at least 70 on a part-time basis, or at least until I didn't enjoy it anymore. And after being away for maybe 4 or 5 days from the students that I taught at my martial arts school, when I got into the class and I saw everyone greet me, and I stepped on the mat, and I realized how alive I became, and just socializing. And even though the majority of them are 20 something years younger than me, probably a lot of them are young enough to be my kids, it was nice to see them. And it really made me really realize how much I need people around me, and a social connection. No matter how independent you are, no matter how much you like to be alone, I think it's healthy to have that. And as human beings, we need that social connection. And I think there was a study that was done in Okinawa about people who lived till 100, and they talked about how social connections was one of the keys to living a long, healthy life. The other thing I did was I made sure that I increased my participation in group fitness classes. So I would make sure that I attend a group fitness class, 3 to 4 times per week, where it not only kept me in shape, but also I got to socialize with the 30-something-year-olds, and that really made me feel young because, when I see them, I feel like, oh, I feel like I'm a part of them, and that I forget that I'm going to be 58 when I'm around them. But a lot of times they ask me for advice because they want to tap into my wisdom, my experience, and then I see them now at that stage in their life where they're starting new families, having kids. And so my final thoughts, the majority of retirement talk revolves around finances. And every channel I view, and I think it's interesting to know about, how much you need for retirement and how you can retire comfortably. But I think it's equally important to be able to make a plan also to know what you're going to fill your days with during retirement, so you don't get bored or feel directionless, or you feel like you've lost a sense of purpose. And the interesting thing is I'm seeing a lot more ads come up now that are promoting over 50 events with people that are our age, the Gen X crowd. Maybe it might be an event where they have dancing at a nightclub with music from the 80s and the 90s. So I'm seeing a lot of those start to pop up. I even came across an old school cruise where you can go on a cruise ship, and some of the most popular bands from the 80s and 90s are playing on it. And I thought that'd be pretty cool. There's other things I saw. People who are from that generation now, they're putting together events where you can get together and meet other people that are the same age, that are looking to meet, maybe fall in love. I don't know, but I think that's great, because I remember thinking to myself, like, if I wasn't married and I didn't have my wife, what would I do at this age? As a 50-year-old, where would I go to meet new people? So you can get to a point where it can be quite lonely, and I think it's great that they're doing these events that allow people our age to go out, and because I get invited by some of my students who are 30 to parties and get-togethers, and I think I went once, and I just thought to myself, man, I feel like a grandpa in here, because the way they talk, the way they think, the music and everything is so different than what I like and what I grew up with. So I feel, even I love them a lot, I feel a disconnect. But when I around people my age, we can relate and talk about, music from back in the 80s and the 90s, and instantly there's a connection, right? So I'm wondering, for all of you who are chiming in on this, what are your feelings? Do you have the same feelings that I've been talking about, that I'm was going through, and are you still do you still feel lonely as you get older, and what do you do to fill your time? So I'm just curious. Feel free to chime in and comment below. And if you like this video, please feel free to like and share, and check out my other videos. All right. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.